This is Victor. I'm here with a new unboxing, and now we are going to make a look to the Elathrian's Soul Raid. Okay, so these are the last warband for this season, for season 4 on Warhammer Underworlds, and these are the Idoneth Deepkin. Okay, so I already have opened, I have made a look to the cards and so on, so I can share with you and talk about the content and a little bit what is my opinion. But first, let's make a look to the models. So here we have, this is the leader of the warband. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit, and we are because there is something. So the assembly of this guy is not easy, and I had to use at the end glue to make the gaps as small as possible, and I had to use clamps. So you have to be careful. It's very easy that you have an opening on the shoulder pad here, and it's very easy to have openings on the bottom of the clothes. And then for the painting, it's going to be quite a little bit tricky because we have layers, but overall I like a lot the sculpt, don't get me wrong, but you have to be careful in the assembly to remove or to avoid gaps between the parts. Then we have this guy. This guy is quite straightforward to assemble. Well, this lady, to be fair, she's, I think maybe she's my favorite miniature of this one. Well, the club, of course, is my favorite one. But quite easy to assemble, quite straightforward. This one, no problems at all. But then we have this guy, and also on this one, I had some, I had to pay some attention on the gaps, and you can see still I have a gap there that is going to be quite difficult to dissimulate. So not, I was not very happy how this was assembling. Yeah, I think there are other warbands that are easy to assemble, but I think the pose is very interesting, and I like a lot of this guy. The fish, 2 parts, not pollen, so this can be fish. A nice looking fish. This you can see the size comparison. Okay. And then we have the crab, maybe the favorite miniature of this warband. Okay, nice, easy to assemble. Well, you have to pay attention how to put. You have to look a little bit how you have to place the pose, but at the end, not too difficult. So overall, a nice warband and nice miniatures. So let's make a look now to the cards. Okay, we will start with the dedicated cards to this warband, and then we will make a look to the generic cards. Let me zoom a little bit out so to be sure that you can see everything correctly. Okay, let's put it like that. I think it's going to be good enough for you to see the cards. Okay, let's start with the different characters, and I will start with the leader. Okay, let me start. Well, this is the leader, but to explain the float tide, we need to have this one first. Okay, so all these guys have the same. All the warband have the same inspiration, so you get inspired on the second round. Doesn't matter what is going on, you get inspired automatically, and you get uninspired on the third round. So you will be uninspired, inspired, uninspired. So these are how they work with the tides. Okay, it's very linked to the background of this warband, and it's similar to the rules that they have in Age of Sigmar. They have a similar thing. Okay, then the leader, and is this one. Okay, the leader have quite a decent attack, damage 2. It's have a good movement, 1 shield and 4 damage. And when he got inspired, he improved the movement by 5, and is improving the soul net by 1. Okay. What else you have? So when you are you have different abilities. Okay, you have the Flood Tide. Flood Tide means that when activated, this fighter can make a move action or charge action even if he has 1 or fewer move tokens. So he can move twice, and this is the whole warband. Well, the whole warband except the fish and the crab. So the 3 elves have this ability. They can move, and then you can move a second time or charge after moving. So this is quite making this warband very mobile. Okay, so it's a good warband in case you want to play to get objective and so on, because you have the ability to have a double movement. But on the other side, you can see the defense when they are uninspired is, and the interesting thing is that the Flood Tide, you only have it when you are uninspired. Okay, when you are inspired, you don't have the Flood Tide anymore. Okay, and then you are stronger. This guy will be will hit better and will have cliff here. Okay, so for example, and then on top he has Soul Harvest. So when he's attacking, okay, he can choose, reaction. After this attack action, it takes an enemy fighter out of action, and there is no Tamael. Okay, Tamael is this guy. On the battlefield, place a friendly Tamael on a starting X. So if he's killing a guy with one of the two weapons, you can have your guy back. But this is also quite a unique rule, so it means that he's using the soul to bring him back. Okay, quite interesting. And it's also, you have it as well when you are inspired. Be aware that when he's inspired, he has cliff. So he's, and finally, when he's inspired, is a little bit more reliable hitting, have better movement, better movement, can move 5. But when he's uninspired, he can move 2 times, and that's all. Okay, and the same for this guy. So this guy will have damage 2 on 1, very similar to the boss. Okay, only 3 wounds, but remember that he can be. But when he's inspired, you have 2 on the dodge, so it's improving quite a lot. I think these guys will benefit from cards that convert the dodge into shield. Okay, be aware he has a snare when he's inspired, and he has Riptide, so you can push the enemy in any direction, because this is the guy. This is the guy with the harpoon. Okay, so it means that he's hitting with that, and then he's pushing you in the direction he wants. Okay, and he has impact. So on the attack with range 3, if he's doing a charge, you have +1 damage. Okay, so it's have 2 attacks of damage 2, and it's not bad to have an attack of damage 2 with range 3. Okay, and then the last guy also have damage 2. Okay, all of them have damage 2 in close combat. Remember, this guy have range 2 and 3, what is very good. Okay, and when she is inspired, she has 2 shields, so it's super defensive. Okay, she's quite good in defense. When she's uninspired, he has 2 dodges, but it's not bad. So again, quite they're good in movement and they're good in close combat. Okay, and then we have the crab. The crab also have 2 damage, not too very reliable, with only 2 swords, and a very high defense. Okay, and he has the same. When he's inspired, let me check. He will have better. Have cliff, what is very good, and 3 swords, so he's becoming quite reliable. As you can see, the second turn will be key for this warband to do the thing. Okay, but with all damage 2, if you use things to increase the damage, they can be quite strong. Okay, not bad. And then you have the fish, and this fish have a very peculiar. You can see have a 0 movement. Okay, kind of move. Have dodge 1 life. When inspired, 2 dodge. So it's almost a token, because what you do is you can decide not to set up this fighter during the setup. This fighter cannot make actions, be given upgrades, or hold objective. If you will taking out, if it will taking out of action, remove it from the battlefield and clear all counters and persisting effects from this fighter. It is not taken out of action, so you just remove it from the game, but it's not out of action. So here I have a doubt, as it is not out of action, I don't think it's giving glory points to kill him. Okay. Reaction. After opponent's power step, you can pick remove all friendly shoal tokens from the battlefield and place the shoal token in an empty X, or place this fighter in an empty X that contains a friendly shoal token and remove that token. You can take this reaction even if this fighter is not on the battlefield. So it's like teleporting, but you have to put a token, and then the turn after you move where you have put the token. So you're telling your enemy where you are going to move, and you do this after an opponent power. So you can do this so it will move 2 times, okay? And you can keep it outside. So you will put the token, and then will teleport to where is the token. Next one you will put another token, and then and if they are killing him, okay, good luck, he will disappear. But it's not giving any glory point again, because it's never being. This guy will never go as a casualty. It never will be out of action. We'll always need to read the glory points, but I think if you don't go out of action, you don't get the glory points. Okay, so what is the point of this guy? This guy is to have a support. Okay, so you put the token next to your opponent, and then you will teleport him, and you will have a support for the next attack. Okay, you can use it to block. Okay, imagine that you have a narrow space that there is only one X. You can put this guy to block the way in there for your opponent. So it's quite interesting, and it's a very interesting mechanic. And the interesting thing is that it cannot be killed. Okay, let's make a look to the objective of this War 1. So we have, if we look the objective, so we have, for example, score this end of phase if 2 or more enemy fighters are taken out of action. You can see it's a combat. Score this in the third end phase if each enemy fighter is either out of action or adjacent to 1 or more fighters. Again, another killing. Score this end of the phase if no enemy fighters are in your territory. You can see that it's quite a combat objective, what you have seen here. Score this immediately if a friendly fighter attack action made as a part of a charge takes, okay, another to hit. So you have, so far we have 4, and 4 are on combat more or less. So you score this immediately after an opponent discards. This is quite curious. After an opponent discards a card from their hand in the action phase without playing it or scoring it. So if your opponent decides to change an objective, this very situational most of the times. I don't think you're going to score, because you have to be in the action phase. So and the discard at the end of the phase is not counting. So this I will never use it, to be fair. Score this end of the phase if 2 or more enemy fighters are out of action. Again, okay, you can see we have so far of the 6 we check, 5 are more or less linked to combat. Score this immediately after an activation if 3 or more friendly fighters are in enemy territory. Again, playing aggressively. Score this immediately after friendly fighters. So here is this for a second or third turn. You have to move one guy 2 times. It's quite interesting. Easy to score, more likely, if it's not on the second turn. Score this immediately after your leader's range 1 attack takes an enemy fighter. Again, another combat. Score this end of the phase if 3 or more friendly fighters each have 1 or more charge tokens. Again, combat. Score this end of the phase if 2 or more friendly Idonet are within 2 axes of the same enemy. Linked to combat in a way. So very aggressive. It's a very aggressive deck. Score this end of the phase if there are no more there are more surviving friendly fighters and no fighter is adjacent to any other fighter. Okay. So again, another for combat. So you can see almost all the objectives are linked to combat. Okay, let's make a look to the plots. So Brain Barnacles, choose enemy fighter within 3 axes of 1 or more friendly Idonet. The chosen fighter has move -1 to minimum of 0, so you can in addition, if the chosen fighter is within 1 x of 1 or more friendly Idonet, when this card is played, that fighter attack actions have the sub characteristic. This effect persists until the end of the run or until this fighter. So you really move and make one character slower, and on top you make him less reliable in combat. Okay. In the next activation, fighters have -1 move to minimum 0 and cannot make range 3 attacks. Okay, so again, playing with to stop the enemy. Choose one friendly fighter until the end of the next activation. That fighter cannot be target of attack actions, cannot be chosen or damaged by gambit. So again, to play, this is really combined to play aggressively. So in case you fail, you have here a saving. Choose one enemy fighter. That fighter player picks one. In the next activation, the chosen fighter has -2 to move to minimum of 0 or -2 dice in the attack action to minimum of 1. So really to debuff an enemy. You can see a lot of there's a lot of cards to avoid movement of your opponent, and as well try to make them less reliable. When an enemy fighter makes an attack action, pick one eligible fighter as the target of that action. Unless during the declared attack action step, the enemy player discards a power card. This effect persists until the end of the round. So when an enemy fighter makes an attack action, pick one eligible fighter as the target of that action. Okay, you pick the target. So this means that you can force your opponent to hit the fish. This is very peculiar for this warband. So unless the opponent is discarding a card. Yeah, can be quite tricky, this one. Play this only in the third, and then if he's discarding a card, so this is playing with the objective. If you force him to discard a card, then you can score your objective. So now I see how you play the other card, forcing your opponent to discard cards or attacking things that he's not interested with. Interesting. Play this only in the third round. Each surviving friendly fighter is inspired unless another player discards 2 power cards. Interesting. Okay. Or you are inspired the third turn. This is very good. This is very good. I think now you need to play the one that you score if the opponent discard the card. In the next activation, friendly fighters have defense characteristic of 3 dodge. Okay, quite good. You can see a lot of trying to make your warband stronger, and as well debuff your opponents. There is a lot. This is more on debuffing opponents than really buffing yours. Pick one. Remove all friendly shoal tokens from the battlefield and place one shoal token in an empty X, or pick an objective token in an empty X and move that objective token into an adjacent X. You cannot move into lethal X or X that contains a feature token. And this is very interesting. Okay, and it makes me think, because if you put the fish on an objective of your opponent cannot take this objective because the fish is there. So you are forcing your opponent to kill the fish, but on top is not giving any point. So it's it's becoming more interesting. I like a lot this idea of the fish. Then we have here the Spinifin Toxin. So choose one enemy fighter adjacent to a friendly Spinifin, deal 1 damage to that fighter. In addition, the chosen fighter cannot hold objective, cannot be on guard, and cannot make range 3 attack actions. This effect persists until the end of. This is very good. This is extremely good. This fish is becoming quite a key. Terror Knight Venom. Choose enemy fighter adjacent to one or more friendly fighters. You can reroll 1 attack dice made in attack rolls for attack rolls made by the friendly fighters that target the chosen fighter. This persists until the end. So you have rerolls until this fighter until the end of the round. So, and then we have remember this warband does not have a sorcerer. So here we have the great. So this way we haven't seen any magical attack. Okay, -1 dice to adjacent attack action, so you can see it's a way to protect yourself. +1 wound, nothing to say, it is restricted to Idoneth. We have to be careful because the fish is not Idoneth. This is Idoneth, this is not Idoneth, this is not Idoneth. Okay, the fish and the crab are not Idoneth, okay? +1 wounds to Idoneth. Lethal access cannot, and on top, lethal access cannot deal damage to this fighter. This is also very good. This is a great reaction during an enemy, and this is for the crab. During an enemy fighter's move action, after that fighter enters adjacent to this fighter for the first time in that action, roll 1 attack dice. On hammer, that fighter move action ends. Interesting, this is quite good. +1 damage to this fighter attack action, so +1 damage. And that fighter with 1 or more wound counters, but you have to be wounded for that. That's very good. +1 damage to this fighter attack actions that target a fighter. You have to target a fighter that is already wounded and you have +1 damage. But you can put it on range 3 weapons. It's not restricted to range 1 or 2, so it can be used on range 3. It's not that bad. You have to be careful. When an enemy fighter is taken out of action while adjacent to this fighter, that fighter player picks 1. You gain a glory point, or the player discards a power card. When an enemy fighter, okay, so you're forced again to force your opponent to discard cards. If this fighter has 1 or more chase token, this fighter is on guard. Interesting. Very good. Reduce damage dealt to this fighter by adjacent enemies. Attack actions by 1 to minimum of 1. Not bad. Soulbound, when this fighter makes an attack action, this is Tamael. If there is a friendly Elathane within 3 axes, that fighter is considered to be supporting fighter. And Elathane is the boss, so you don't need to be adjacent to that, so you only need to have this guy at 3 of the fight. I guess when this fighter makes an attack action, if there is a friendly Elathane within 3 axes of that fighter, so I guess from the opponent, so you have a support. Unstoppable Fury. You can reroll 1 attack dice in this fighter's attack rolls for attack actions made in a part. Okay, this is not bad. This one is not bad. One reroll, and then we have the one that I don't. So this goes on Elathane. When a critical hit, give the target a 1 move token. Okay, you attack with the fish that have an critical attack. So you can see this warband is designed for combat. Okay. It's really designed for combat, so it's to play aggressively. You want to move onto your opponent's battlefield and really try to go and hit hard as possible from the beginning. So they have a lot of things to defend and to boost, or more than boost, to debuff your opponents, most of them. Okay, and then here we have some generic cards. Here I will not go through all of them to save some time. I always like to see what we have on the objectives. Okay, let's make a look on the objectives. So score this end of the phase if 1 or more friendly fighters each have 5 or more hunger counters. Okay, this is for the vampires. An opponent has a primacy token, so you score this immediately after an activation. If an opponent has a primacy token, or there is 1 or more surviving friendly fighters, quarry, and you have the primacy token. Curious, this one. Dual. Score this end of the phase if 2 or more friendly fighters hold objectives, and each of those fighters has 1 or more hunger counters. Again, this is not for this warband, it's more for vampires or something like this. This card. Score this end of the phase if 1 or more enemy fighters with 1 or more hunger counters hold an objective. There is a lot of things for vampires here, and 1 or more enemy fighters who each have 2 or more upgrades are out of action. 2 more friendly hunters, and so I score this on the face if 2 or more friendly hunters and at least 1 enemy quarry are in the same territory. Bad situation, you have to force it, you have to play cards to force that. 1 or more enemy fighters each have 3 or more wound tokens, counters. Score this on the face if 1 or more surviving friendly fighters each have 3 or more grades. You have 1, so it's the same as the, and you have the primacy token. There's a lot of like, score this immediately after an activation if 1 or more surviving friendly fighters hold an objective and each have 3 or more upgrades. So you have to have 1 with 3 upgrades controlling an objective. So there is a lot of cards that you score if you have 3. So you can play to have 3 upgrades on the same guy and try to score with this guy. Score this end of the phase if 1 or more friendly fighters each have 2 or more silent relics. Okay, so you score this immediately after an activation if you have 4 or more upgrade cards in your hand. You must reveal the power cards in your hand and your opponent to your opponents when you do so. So you only need 4 upgrades in your hand. I will never try to do this one. Score this end phase if you had the primacy token, the previous, and you have again the primacy token. So if you have the primacy token 2 times in the round, in row. I don't like the ones that you are forced to keep to do the same action 2 times. And then we have more of these power cards. I'm checking all our really plots. We don't have any magical thing. No, we don't have any magical thing. Give 1 or more with 1 move token to each fighter in no one's territory. This is quite interesting. I like it, this one. Okay, and then we have cards. I will not go through all of them, just some of them. This fighter is a hunter. You can roll 1 attack dice in each of these fighters' attack. A roll for each yeah, you have to attack a quarry. -1 to move, +1 wound. This fighter is a quarry. I don't like too much. This fighter is a quarry. If this fighter is a quarry, each enemy fighter is a quarry. So everyone is a quarry with silent relic. Discard the primacy token if you do push each other surviving friendly fighter up to 1x. If this fighter is taken out of action, discard the primacy token. Interesting. Okay, and we have more cards, but I will not go through all of them. Okay, we have 1 dash, we have a snare, and you can roll 1 dice in the attack roll if the target has 1 or more move and or charge token. Okay, so this is all the warband. I thought you have enjoyed summarizing. It's quite an aggressive warband. This fish is mainly to create problems to the opponent. Can be used as support. You can see you have some cards to the card to make the venom attack, and then there is another one. And you also can use it to block the opponent from holding objective, putting him on the objective before. So quite interesting. This guy is also quite interesting. When he's attacking an opponent, it's pushing the opponent where he wants, and have +1 damage in a charge on a range 3 weapon. And you can see these 3 are mainly oriented into the close combat. Okay. So that's all what I want to share here. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please give a like if you have liked it. Let me know what do you think about this warband, and as usual, thanks a lot for watching and see you again later. Bye.